Welcome back. On today's episode, I'm really excited about this. We've got Matt O'Dell with us. Matt is someone I've had the pleasure to work with in the past. Matt is still a member of the British Forces. He was 16 years full time in the military, and he's still serving in the reserve. But what he's done since those 16 years is set up the company MilUX. MilUX is a really exciting company, and you're going to hear a lot more in about that. And we're going to speak about Matt's adoption of AI and how he's helping others able to do that, especially within the defense sector. And we're going to speak all things business agility. So let's jump in. So, Matt, thanks for coming down all the way from Andover Town, although you're in Bristol, so not so far. Thanks for coming down. Excited to have you on. So, for people who haven't met you before, this is Matt O'Dell. Matt and I work together on an engagement for an energy firm. Matt, give us an overview of your sort of career to date and what brought you into the world of business agility.
So I probably joined the most agile organisation in the country, which was the British Army back in 2002, if I could count my time as an officer cadet, and from there served 16 years of regular service in the infantry, and left in 2000 to set up MilUX, military user experience. That led me to explore what is user experience, what does delivering a user experience require, and it led me into the world of, I suppose, lean more than agile.
Okay.
To discover Kanban. But yeah, that's my origin story. So it all started off in the British Army and has ended with me still working in the defence sector, running my own little micro consultancy.
Oh, and you're still serving in the reserve, yeah?
I am, yes. So, an Army reservist, been doing that for 6 years, and currently with London Officer Training Corps. So, back where I started 20-something years ago, hanging around with some really bright youth who are just starting their journey.
Oh, fantastic. And you mentioned, you left the military full-time after 16 years, you said, to set up MilUX. Why did you want to set up MilUX? What led you to that?
So this is the city of the origin story of MilUX.
Yeah? Okay.
And it was whilst I was what I now know as a product manager, but the defence version where I'm not allowed to make any decisions or have any responsibility. I was a product manager for a large communications program, and would spend 3 days a week in Oakdale, just up the road,
Okay.
With a large defence prime, and then spends 2 nights a week in the evenings in Cardiff, talking to human factors and user experience professionals, and sort of formulating a plan for how we would do it better if we were allowed to do it ourselves. And that's where the idea of MilUX came from.
And on that note, we spoke about MilUX, so give people an overview of what MilUX really is about. And if you don't mind, elaborate on why is MilUX different to, the competitors out there.
So one of the other observations we had whilst we were sort of doing this work was that the market was flooded with sort of digital consultants that were familiar with things like the government digital service standards, so user researchers, BAs, interactive designers, but what they didn't have was military and domain context.
Okay.
So coming into defence, where we essentially speak a completely different language,
I can confirm,
was like, how would we do this fast and better in defence? And that's where sort of we started looking at pairing military professionals with user researchers and augmenting the traditional sort of GDS team in a slightly different way to be able to skip through the basic questions, which is when you're interviewing a soldier and they start dropping 3-letter acronyms and start talking about context that makes no sense, is like just having somebody there going, no, it's all right, we're good, keep going. So
you can actually translate it.
Analyse later. So that's really where it all started. And I suppose now where we got to is what makes us different is we're trying to break the traditional paradigm of traditional project and program delivery and think more of products and services thinking sort of more of iteration and prototyping upstream, and then how do you deliver capability, I suppose, at the speed of relevance, which I've heard a number of times, but
Yeah.
deliver better, faster.
Oh, awesome. And I heard you speak at Kanban Edge conference recently, and while you were there, you were speaking a lot about leveraging the jobs to be done framework in a an engagement you had with the Ministry of Defence. Talk us through some of the impact of how that went and how that was maybe a different experience to maybe what they were used to in the past and the results it got.
So so I think the case study I spoke about was the large apps discovery, but where I've used this most recently was to replace a traditional requirements document. So normally a defense project would create a user requirement document, a system requirement document. They would be very detailed, specific requirements that would then be broken out and traded, and actually you have to deliver the whole lot, otherwise you don't have something, and it lacked context. We approached it with a couple of lenses. There was the jobs to be done and task analysis, so really understanding sort of the two different methods that actually do overlap quite a bit was describing each of the requirements in a outcome focused manner, so that we could enable the delivery team to interpret that and then act on the outcome, as opposed to delivering against a really detailed prescribed requirement. Some in this space might think they looked a bit like user stories, but it's the same sort of principle. It's describing the outcome the user's trying to achieve, the workflow they're currently sort of following, and their information handoffs and pieces like that.
Oh, cool. And how was that received by the people, when you were able to show the impact of doing it in that different way?
We were quite lucky because we were a self-contained team.
Yeah.
It made sense to sort of the downstream team that were picking up and working on it. Where it failed in the case study sort of work that I talked about is that we were handing that off to a team that was following more traditional methods.
Yeah.
So actually there was now a translation, and not just a translation issue, there was a methodology issue. It's that they were
Because they were used to having this big requirements and systems document.
Yeah. So they wanted to build software like you would buy a tank in a traditional sort of waterfall fashion, and we were giving them problem statements and context and jobs to be done. Yeah.
Ah. So for that change to really take effect, it needs a wider sort of buy-in, would you say, or?
So funny you should mention this. No, yes, we're now looking at value streams. I suppose is where this comes into it, because so much of defence is segmented into silos, where responsibility for each phase of a product lifecycle or service lifecycle is broken up and delivered in a traditional with a traditional project management approach, without thinking about where the work that's been delivered goes next, or where the work has come from.
So it's missing that systems thinking piece.
Yeah, and absolutely, and we see this in with the large number of defence innovation organisations handing over to the sort of future capability organisations, and then you've got the program delivery organisations. Whereas actually, if you sort of twist that 90 degrees and start thinking about
end to end, as opposed
end to end, and the value of learning and stopping work, you get a different approach, and you'll be familiar with that because that was the work that we did, with the energy company.
Yeah. I always I speak about that fondly, because that team of people, strongest team I've been part of by a country mile, loved it. I was funny. I was only talking about it today to one of the guys I coach at the moment, and I was saying that we were coming here to do this, and that team, I was so far out of my comfort zone every day, stretching myself, but it was at the same time the most rewarding in being in that position. And I always think fondly of that engagement. It was really good fun. Yeah. So, we've spoken a little bit there about MilUX and why it exists, and some of the stuff that you've done. A lot of the stuff that you're going to do in the future, I'm going to assume, is, leveraging the power of AI. I know you're a huge fan of it. Where What are you seeing with people that are adopting it so far, and maybe some of the mistakes that you're seeing that people are making? What are the common pitfalls that you're seeing that maybe others can learn to avoid?
So I will I'll start with quoting the Ethan Mollick book, Co-Intelligence, that I've just finished listening to, which talks about the centaur and the cyborg. Um, at the moment, most people I see are using AI like a centaur, i.e., they're handing off work to it, getting it to do some work, and then doing a bit of review, and and then moving on. And essentially, they could be treating it like a slightly better Google search, or create a document for me, write this email for me. So they're getting it to do sort of minor tasks, little tasks.
Yeah.
Um, where the power is now, in one aspect, is uh, getting it to act as more of a cyborg, where it is your digital thinking partner. So whether that is playing a role of another team member, whether it's reviewing documentation with you, challenging your thinking, and actually co-creating the knowledge work with you as you go. Um, the other things I've seen are using AI for AI's sake,
Yeah.
and this is where uh, why have I suddenly got really excited about this? And it's as we're both Kanban coaches and trainers,
Yep.
it's the overlap with the Kanban Fit for Purpose framework and Maturity Level 3. And actually, when you get to that organizational level of maturity and you're focusing on your customers, you have fairly mature workflows. You know what work is in your
Yeah.
organization. And once you can do that, you can start looking at where you can hand off tasks to AI.
Yeah. Those
Um,
repetitive black or white,
yeah.
no grey area.
And
Yeah.
therein lies some of the fascinating things that I have been exploring over the last 3 months. And has been, yeah, it's exploring. So full on using Claude Cowork and Claude Design to see what's in the art of the possible.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I know I mentioned it to you earlier. I was talking to James, who we both used to work with. We were talking about earlier, and he was you'll see a lot of his stuff now on social media, LinkedIn especially, where he's talking about the need for organizational redesign, because to adopt AI, not just let's train everyone, give them access to an LLM, and then put
Yeah.
them through training. And the success criteria is how many people are actually using it and how many people have done the training. No, it's the success criteria is are you achieving more of the outcomes? Has customer value increased, as opposed to have people adopted it?
Which is the new how many teams have adopted Scrum? How many
Yeah.
story points? What's the
Yeah.
team's velocity? So which is fascinating, because that comes
Yeah.
back to uh, the Fit for Purpose framework, where we talk
Yeah.
about vanity metrics,
Yes.
pointless metrics that,
Yeah.
that don't serve
And
any purpose.
do you know, it's funny you touched on something there that also came up in the conversation. For a lot of people in the agile space, for want of a better term, a lot of people have become worried about their positions. Is AI going to replace me? You know what I mean? A lot of these kind of things, which human centric kind of focus were. I can't see that happening. But you know what I mean? The desire for that, you know what I mean? Let's go big bang, roll out Scrum across everyone. How many, that's the success metric. Now, I never want to see those days again, if I'm honest. But at the same time, the people I think best placed to help people with the adoption of this is the people who really understood how to truly adopt those agile modern ways of working, because this is going to be adopting a new modern way of working, and it's that dealing with those human-centric factors to get the best out of it. Who's better placed to be able to do that, right?
And absolutely, and this is where we've seen some of the companies that have actually thrived are the ones that are focused on the customer, the human engagement, improving that by automating the things that aren't customer facing. And I think for people working in this space, so if you're a sort of a coach or a trainer, you think about the effort that you put into running a business. You can offload quite a lot of that now to essentially a robot to do. So it will help you develop your own design system, which means that you can start developing marketing material quickly. It means you can get your message out. It means that you can write your own tailored message to people. But then if you're sending that out on a platform like LinkedIn, you can send significantly more tailored messages over a much shorter period of time. So you've got rid of all of that noise, which creates the space to think more about the value of the customer
I
engagement.
also think as well, it's it's helping alleviate that bottleneck. Let's say, I'm a self-employed coach. Boom. By leveraging that, it frees me up to coach more.
Absolutely,
and that's where the value increase comes from.
Have more thinking time to think about it. If you're, what did I do the other day? Is I ran one of our fit for purpose skills through our own company, and it then goes and interrogates the metrics and the data, and it comes back with the evidence to support the argument that I would make. But I haven't had to go and dig out those metrics. I haven't had to go and find them. I haven't pulling it all together. So, and actually, if I'm going to brief the executive team, I can turn that into a briefing pack within a couple of minutes. So it's allowing us to get past all of the time-consuming non-value add work, so that you can really focus on the conversation and understanding what's been surfaced.
So if someone came to you and said, Matt, we're looking for some help with AI adoption here. Our goal is headcount reduction. Where would you take that conversation?
So if you'd finish the first half of that question, so my first question is the same question that I've been asking for 6 years running a UX company, is what's the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah.
And if the problem is headcount reduction,
Yeah.
I would ask why is that a problem that you need to solve? If it is, I need to increase my profit. Okay, let's look at how we increase your profit. If it's actually we are falling behind and we're not delivering quick enough, okay, let's have a look. I was chatting with somebody the other day who was really taken by some of the things that I was doing, but actually they're like, our biggest problem at the moment is we've got multiple systems and we're not able to have a shared situation awareness of our CRM. So it's easy. We can now solve that problem. So if it's around shared situation awareness, we can just bring that information together and help surface it for everybody. That will take 10 minutes. What next?
So you can really start to show the value a lot earlier and quicker because of your adoption of these things. I suppose, where have you seen it fall down or not work? You know what I mean? Maybe you've tried something and it's not quite there yet. Have you? What's been your experience?
So trust in AI it's a really hard one to get, and it's understanding what it's good at and what it's bad at. And you only get trust as you would with a team member, a human, by allowing them to learn and develop. So I think you're on the list.
I am.
No, you're on my safe list where. So all right, let's go back. Let's go back a step. Why does this relate to maturity level 3? Clear policies, explicit policies. So I have a set of explicit policies against people that I communicate with, against what I'm happy for AI to do in terms of communication. So Claude will, I will happily let Claude through co-work draft an email and send an email to you without checking it, because I know you're safe. Like it's not going to cause any kind of disaster. So there's people there, and it will come with a caveat. But I have to do that because I have to see where it goes wrong, so that I can update the policies. What I won't do, because the policies won't allow me to do, is do that for a brand new person that I've just met. It won't do it for somebody that's talking about money and contracts, because it could go wrong. And I have had it go wrong, and it's fascinating to see that it's programmed to try and please me. And I've had one incident recently where it has overshared some commercial in confidence information that I had with one person I was introducing to somebody else. And I said, look, the rule is just do what I tell you. Don't add any more value, because it's actually dangerous. but it's all about sort of learning where I can trust it, what I can trust it with, and making sure the right guardrails and policies are in place.
That's why I think, it is so exciting, as I mentioned earlier, that, the black and white stuff, the no grey area, it's brilliant for, right? Hard and fast framework, it can follow that and execute with real pace. What it doesn't have is that it's definitely getting context, especially the more you use it, the more it's getting to understand you and, your narrative type, the types of things you would say to be able to draft those emails and so forth. But what it doesn't have is that moral compass to know where it's right or wrong, or be able to question yourself, are you sure I should be saying it? It can't, because it only knows my task is to please Matt, and to please Matt with what he's asked me to do. And if I can do more, I will do that.
So it's true, but that's up for me to make sure that I put that into the instructions.
Yeah.
So I'm using Claude Cowork alongside Obsidian. So the full sort of context of my company, my personal life, my Army Reserve life is all into these different Obsidian vaults, which helps me, helps Claude know what the persistent knowledge is. And there are rules in there. So I could be a little bit unscrupulous and just rip off other people's work, for example. But actually, I've got a rule in there, which is if we're going to sort of fork or amend or change something at somebody else's work, we maintain the attribution to their work and their original link. And there are some actual guardrails built in as well. Is that I've been working with it and trying to sort of pull stuff into DevonThink, which is other people's knowledge vaults, and it said, "I'm really sorry, I can't pull that down because that's a book or it's something else. That IP is covered is for somebody else." So there are some guardrails already built in. You can build your own in.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's up to the user to have developed their brand, as you would with any employee, to set the ways of working and the behaviours that you would expect.
Yeah. So as you said, leveraging it as that cyborg as opposed to senator. And I think that brings me back to, something, my usage of AI is still low, especially compared to you. But that human in the loop is the most important factor in there, because that's where you set those guardrails. That's where you decide if it's right, because, using it only today, this morning, funny enough, one of the things that, I noticed that just isn't right. We're still at that point where that is going to happen. Now, it could be that what I've asked for, in my mind, makes sense, but to something else does not. Sometimes it just hallucinates. It just comes back with something that's just not right, or it'll get stuck in a perpetual loop. That's something I've had quite a lot of. So I'm not doing the right thing in the right tool. It's down to me to fix it.
It again comes down to some of the explicit policies and guardrails. I've had some brilliant case studies written to me previously on ChatGPT, which I wish I had those case studies. But it's tried to do something I've asked it to do, hasn't been able to achieve it, but because it wants to please me, has created it. And I think this is where, as experts, we can leverage it in the cyborg fashion really well. But if you don't know the domain you're trying to work in, it can be quite dangerous. And I know I showed you a few documents earlier. It's been able to create some product related documentation really, really quickly that I can then run through and review and make edits to. But I know what's supposed to be in these documents.
Yeah.
And I've seen examples before, I've used them, I've written them. So actually I know that's correct.
Yeah.
If you don't know that
let's say I was doing it.
And this is that problem is it gives people false confidence because it spits things out. And there was that recent,
that looks legit.
That recent story of the two lawyers who both turned out that they'd made up cases in their trial.
Something we discussed a little bit earlier, but I think it'd be interesting for us to hear is how that mentality needs to change, especially in some more larger scale traditional organizations, departments, maybe government sectors and so forth. We were talking earlier about how the mindset was very much get the ask right, and now give it to you and now go make it. Whereas you were saying, no, we need to flip that into build something fast, dirty, get out there, learn, get out there, learn. How do you see that change maybe coming about? What do you think, how do you think that might bring itself to life? Or do you think it's...
Well, it comes back to, so if I think back to traditional requirements writing, you would always be under a lot of time pressure to produce a user requirement document and a system requirement document. And dare I say it, I've been on a project where the supplier's been awarded the contract and we've been reverse engineering the user requirement document after the system requirement document's gone live in order to justify it. It's one of those things is people are too busy to try and go through what has traditionally been a really long process. What we can do now is add a lot more context. So if we're trying to help a software developer come up with some requirements to build an application on, as sort of was working on Wednesday,
Yeah.
is rather than just giving them the flow and some user stories, we can give them a mock-up. I think back to my time in the Prime just down the road. We would do workshops on Agile wireframes. So the designers would build them, and actually it was one of those things, you have to be an Azure designer in order to come work in the team. So they would build these wireframes out, they would print them out onto A3 paper, they'd put them all up on the wall, and then I'd come in and review them. But because of the way the cadence they were following, which was the framework that I won't mention.
Yeah.
It was every two. So there was a 2-week design sprint.
Yeah.
They did some work and then they reiterate the next. So it was effectively could be 3 weeks between iterations.
Okay.
And we were still doing it on wireframes. We can now take that and turn that into a working HTML based application that does exactly the same thing, and you can just sit there with the users and they can start running through their use cases.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this. Okay, modify it.
Yeah.
Right. I now need to do this.
You can actually get them executed, the
So
user journey in real time using the mock-up.
So rather than trying to find the one, I suppose, requirement or user story that summarizes everything, you can just start running through real life examples, building a lot quicker till you get to the point of go, right, that's now something we can hand over.
So something that comes to my mind with that, and we touched upon it not that long ago. Just we spoke about the agile coaches and scrum masters and so forth. How do you see their role evolving now because of this capability?
So I think that you could get an agile coach could have in their back pocket a number of professionally designed agents to support them. So and a number of skills. So I sound like Liam Neeson, but I've got a set of skills. No, I haven't, but they're out there. So lots of these Claude skills are available on the internet that you can help you to facilitate activity. So we've all hopefully we've all done things like the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas. There's now a skill that can help step through that process with you, that can provide red teaming for it, that can challenge it, that can help you look for other opportunities. So whilst the coach is having the person-to-person interaction, you could be running agents in the background helping you find other gaps, because we can't hold everything in our head.
No.
And that's why. So what really got me into some of this was thinking about Obsidian as my second brain. And that's really what it is. It's like we're asking people to try and hold multiple frameworks, methods, with things sort of complexity theory, systems thinking, all of the different things in their heads. And that's really hard to do. Whereas actually we can put that somewhere else and co-work with it in order to help us become better at the thing that we're delivering. And even to extents of you could be recording conversations that with clients, and then we're now going to sit down, upload that, and now we're going to interact with the conversation we've just had to see whether there's things that have been missed. It's really good at it's really good at identifying trends, for example. So if, and this is where coaching at scale comes in really interesting,
Okay.
is if multiple coaches are having individual conversations across an organization to try and solve similar challenges,
The
you
themes coming
could
out.
highlight and surface some of those themes automatically without people having to come together to try and discuss it. So
Wow.
there's all sorts of things. It's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I'm understanding, you're saying there is this can amplify our capability if people can leverage the tools in the right way. But, are you going to replace an agile coach with AI? Personally, my take on it is no. I don't think you can because of that. I've said about the human in the loop being the most, important part in there. That is a human thing. I think you could have a chat with, you know what I mean, an, an AI robot, for want of a better term. But I don't think you'd get the connection. I don't think that contact, and I don't think you get the challenge because, as I said, you know what I mean, unless that tool is really well calibrated. A lot of the time, there's a sycophantic element to some of these tools, right?
Yeah. But what you could do, this is, I don't know how far in the future this is, but
Yeah,
you as a coach could create your body of knowledge and that your clients could interact with to ask it questions. And ultimately, some of the things are just this asking questions about methods, and
yeah,
so it frees you up for the slightly harder, more challenging conversations as opposed to just answering
yeah,
the sort of the basic ones. I've always had a I've always had a problem with the term agile coach,
yeah, yeah,
and it's a bit like we're doing an agile transformation. It's
yeah.
again back to, but the goal isn't
No,
the goal shouldn't be to
no,
transform to
no one's going to
agile
give you the agile
or
medal.
be an agile coach. The goal is to do something else,
Yes,
and actually um, that's why I think for me it's interesting. Is that I haven't moved away now from the idea that we're trying to help people become more fit for purpose.
yeah, yeah,
And that is, how do you service your customers and your users better? And then how do you mature your organization? So are we fit for purpose coaches that employ various different skills and tools and methods, and AI is just one of those tools in that box.
absolutely. And you referenced there the Kanban maturity model. I'm a big fan, big fan of that. That's what I mean. When we work together, that's when I came across it, and I just think it's so powerful. That big menu of options to help you with that journey towards the higher level maturity. But it all comes down to those desired outcomes that you want in there, and the values that you lead with those values to get towards those. I think it's a fantastic model that probably doesn't get the focus it deserves, and I think fit for purpose is the same.
But actually, I just to stay with that theme,
Yeah, yeah.
is you mentioned so outcomes and values.
Yes.
Those are human behaviors. They
Yeah.
are things that a human can observe
Hmm.
that is in a state where AI can't analyze it.
Yet.
But but some of the practices, those observable things, so yeah, does a team have written policies? Do they have a board? Do they
Yeah.
the almost that practice map where it's a tick, yes, this is what I can see. That's where the tool that can do that for you,
Yeah.
to give you the
Freeing you up
time
more.
to observe the interactions between the humans, to pick up on the passive aggressive comments, the nuances, the things that bias LLMs can't necessarily pick up and observe on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Listen, we spend a fair bit of time. I could do this all day. But one of the things I did want to ask you, what are you most excited about for both yourself personally and then specifically for MilUX? Where do you see, what are you most excited about?
Um, so I suppose it's helping others in the defence and security sector adopting these new tools. I very much see this as leveling the playing field for the smaller organisations, because they can now all of a sudden have much greater mass and footprint than they used to do. So because they can start becoming a bit more competitive. So
Hmm.
advocating for SMEs in defence. I'm really excited about the work we're doing on the Claude Partner Network, and
Very excited about that.
exploring how we can use Claude not just to develop software, but to support the whole of a business across all of the business functions,
Yeah.
and yeah, almost help smaller companies become AI ready by design. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, because I'm loath to say I'm an expert, because it feels really sort of fraudulent to say I'm an expert. But some of these tools didn't exist at the end of last year. Some of them didn't exist 2 months ago. And we can only have to see what's happened with Mythos and Fable, and that really short public release, to
Yeah.
see it's changing fast, and that's exciting.
And although you're not an expert, you've got hands-on experience of using this a lot now compared to most other people that I see. So, if people want to get in touch with you and engage MilUX, how do they go about it?
So probably the easiest thing to look me up on LinkedIn. Contact form on our website, milux.co.uk. But yeah, ping me an email on LinkedIn. If you're a founder or a freelancer working in defence, I've got a really cool new, I think it's cool, pack that you can use in Obsidian alongside Claude to help sort of with that leveling the playing field and start to understand defence. So yeah, reach out if you want to know more. I'm happy to chat, happy to be challenged, and just constantly want to be learning.
Super, Matt. Thanks for coming along. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you
No,
very
thank you
much.
for having me, Matt.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.